Good morning, everyone. Christian Duke, the Iron Duke Speaks, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. Today's a special edition. There's so much to talk about. Last week, I was at the 2018 NPC Natural Ohio. It was a fantastic, fantastic show. I want to tip my proverbial hat to promoters Todd Pember and Dave Lieberman for putting on a fantastic event. Very, very deep lineups, a great expo, a fantastic guest poser in Sean Flexitron Roden, who's a personal friend of mine. We were backstage having some laughs. He gave me a great interview. I got his whole posing routine on tape. It's available at strengthaddicts.com. You do not want to miss that. You know, Flexitron for me is my pick to be the next Mr. Olympia. It got me a ban from Phil Heath on Twitter and Instagram last year. I don't care. It's how I feel. And he's a fantastic ambassador for the sport. He's been through hell and back with his health. He had to sit out this year's Arnold Classic. You know, it's been tough for him, you know what I mean? But he's a trooper. He's a warrior. You know what I mean? He's back on track and looking at that Mr. Olympia where I believe he's going to win the title, denying Phil Heath the ability to tie the big nasty Ronnie Coleman and the totally awesome Lee Haney. Now, another thing that I want to talk about before I move on from that is the fact that I really, really want to commend both Todd Pember and Dave Lieberman because they invest the money and they make sure that they have great guest posers at their show. In fact, later in the year at the 2018 NPC Natural Northern USA, they're going to have Ruli Winkler, who a lot of people also believe is a future Mr. Olympia. So again, for more information on the 2019 NPC Natural Ohio or the 2018 NPC Natural Northern USA, of course, go to davelieberman.com. Now, I've got to talk about New Zealand. I know New Zealand was March 24th. In fact, for March 24th, I was at the NPC Northern Kentucky Grand Prix, another fantastic show put on by Gary Udit. But I have to say, the New Zealand Pro was nothing short of amazing. I mean, Jafar Al-Azizi goes there. You know, he's got, Samir Tradi, who, like, the whole bodybuilding media is basically tripping over themselves to interview, photograph, talk to. And Sami Al-Haddad, who aesthetically, in terms of his posing, in terms of his performance on stage, is a force to be reckoned with. And, Jafar goes in there as basically a dark horse. I mean, nobody's really looking at him. And he beats Sami, he beats Samir, and he wins. He does it for his country. He does it to, for himself, really, also. You know what I mean? And people in Iran were going nuts. I mean, pandemonium. People were dancing and singing and high-fiving and all that, and it was great, you know what I mean? So, I like it when someone comes in sort of under the radar and, emerges victorious. And, Jafar beating Sami and Samir, that's pretty big. He came in, he brought it, he posed like his life depended on it, and, he emerges with a victory. So that's really, really huge, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it here. The Iron Duke Speaks. I am speaking. I've got to say it. Now, I also want to talk about Steve Kuklo and my good friend, Charles the Tank Dixon. He is my good friend. We both love the Blue Moon. We both love the Florida Gators. I've done so many interviews with him, prepped by the great Trey Hodge of Team Hodge. They go into Indianapolis, and they come out with a victory. And even though I was in Cleveland for the Natural Ohio, Mid-Atlantic Muscle's own Hector Mendoza was the official photographer, and I got to see all the photos, and I was like, this is the Tank. No one is stopping the Tank. I mean, he came in dry. He came in hard. He came in balanced, symmetrical, ripped, veiny. I mean, this was his show. So, it's not like one of those shows where you can say, second place or third place couldn't. No, not for this show. This was the Tank all day, all night. You know what I'm saying? And he won it decisively. And that's really the way you want to do it. That's how you want to qualify for the 212 Olympia Showdown, decisively. I mean, listen, you can qualify by a hair, you can qualify by points, but when you go into a competition and it's lights out, like Tyson Spinks, where the fight's over, you go get up, go to the restroom, by the time you come back, the fight's over. That kind of decisive victory is what you want, because I believe that creates a hell of a lot of momentum going into Las Vegas. Now, Arnold Classic. I love the Arnold Classic. The Terminator movies, you know what I mean? Even the movie where he was a kindergarten teacher. I mean, all of Arnold's movies, all of Arnold's expos, all of Arnold's magazines, commercials, sitcoms, twins with Danny DeVito. I mean, to me, Arnold is like, he's up there with, you know, Joe and Ben Weider. He's up there with Mr. Jim Mannion. To me, Arnold is, you know, responsible for an undeniable, just huge part in growing bodybuilding, in making bodybuilding everything that it is today. And when we woke up, that is, everybody in the bodybuilding sport woke up to the fact that he had open heart surgery. It's like somebody pressed the pause button. You know, I'm doing Strength Addicts. I'm doing the marketing efforts for IronMag Labs. I'm at the Natural Ohio. I'm doing this great show here. You know, it's like I'm doing so many things, but it's like, bam, the pause button got pressed because, and like, I know I'm getting a little choked up here, but you know, I don't care because, like, I'm allowed to have feelings, and you're allowed to have feelings. You know what I mean? And I think it's, you know, when I found out that Joe Weider passed away, when I found out that Ben Weider passed away, it was very similar to when I found out that Arnold had open heart surgery. And to me, it was like that pause button got pressed. And honestly, you know, thank God, you know, that Arnold's going to be okay. And thank God that Arnold didn't skip a beat, literally. And thank God that Arnold is a force to be reckoned with and will be with us for a long, long time. But you know what? I still thank God, because I think that, you know, religion or spirituality or whatever you want to call it, it's a personal choice, okay? It's each person's personal choice. And it's my personal choice to believe in a higher power. And I believe that, you know, to say that our health and our well-being is all based on us only is a little arrogant, but that's my personal belief. So I'm very happy that Arnold has a strong body, a strong immune system, a strong, you know, cardiovascular health, that he's going to be okay. But I also thank God because I believe, and because I actually prayed. You know what I mean? I actually got down on 2 knees, not one, on 2. You propose on 1, I pray on 2. I get down on both of them, and I prayed. And I prayed that he'd be okay. And so I thank God also. And if you're an atheist or whatever, that's totally fine. No judgments here. But I'm really happy that Arnold's going to be okay. And like I said, for me, it was like somebody had hit a pause button, because everything that I do just stopped. And it was like a couple of seconds. I had to digest this news, and I had to, you know, I prayed. Some people were going to the gym, you know what I mean? Some people were watching Pumping Iron. Everybody's got like their own thing, you know? My friend Kareem Marugi, who I haven't seen in forever, but I knew him from East Lansing days. You know, he put out a post saying, let's all go to the gym, let's all train. That was his way of, you know, I guess maybe that was like his version of spirituality. I don't know, but that's what he said. And I thought, wow, you know, that's cool that, you know, people care. And however they, you know, however they verbalize that, or however they carry that out, they care. And the pause button, again, I think a lot of people, that pause button was pressed, and that's powerful. Now, another pause button that was pressed was a week and a half ago. My friend Steve Bleckman, who's the publisher of Muscular Development, called me, and I missed a call. And, you know, because I was doing Instagram, you know, I'm always posting photos. I go to all these shows, and, like, for example, for the Natural Ohio, final photos, watermarked, edited, ready to go. Almost 300 photos carrying the Strength Addicts and IronMag Labs watermarks. So, you know, I post a lot, and so I'm like, I see red, Steve Bleckman, you know, because red is when you miss a call. And I wasn't sure what it was about, but, you know, I love Steve, you know, and Steve does call periodically. And I was thinking maybe he was calling about an upcoming show or something, you know, like a news tip, something like that. I call him back, and he asked me if Greg is okay, if everything's okay with Greg. And I had spoken to Greg the night before. And this just goes to show you how much Steve cares. Because the same way for me with Arnold, with the pause button, a similar pause button had been pressed with Steve. Because apparently somebody had put on Get Big, which is Ron Avedon's site, on his message board that Greg Valentino had died. And I spoke the night before to Greg for about 2 hours, which is pretty average amount of time for us to talk. Whenever I pick up a phone call from Greg, I know minimum 90 minutes, minimum. And sometimes as much as 4 hours. You know, but we're talking about stuff, you know, we're talking about our shows, his Momo Mafia, his Greg Valentino Live, we're talking about expos, we're talking about products, we're talking about, basically everything under the sun when it deals with IronMag Labs, because Greg Valentino is one of our two main superstars in the company. And so we like to keep him informed, and we like to hear what he has to say, and we like to brainstorm and so on and so forth. And so, I called Rob, I called Greg a bunch of times. Greg, of course, sometimes isn't the best when it comes to receiving phone calls. Sometimes he takes a nap or goes to the gym or whatever. He's old school. When he takes a phone to the gym, he's not on there, on Instagram. He takes the phone to the gym, for like an emergency or whatever. But when he trains, he trains. He's not there listening to music or looking at Twitter. He's there to train. So he might have the phone in his duffel bag or something. Who knows? And, of course, when he didn't pick up the phone, I just called a bunch of people. And until I actually heard back from him, the boss just wrote. When Rob DiMaggio writes, pause button. Got to read that. But when I finally heard back from Greg, I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy that you're not dead. I'm so happy you're alive. And he said, oh, thank you. What's he supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? What's he supposed to say? But I was so scared there for a second. Ron, I love you, brother, but you got to have those moderators police that message board a little bit better, because you've got Steve Bleckman reading it, you know what I mean? And so that's a big deal, I would think, right? And so if someone's out there saying that Greg Valentino, kicked the bucket, and it's a complete fabrication, you might want to like erase those types of comments. But again, I'm not here to sling, and I'm not here to throw Ron under the bus either, because I mean, what's Ron supposed to do? Like check every post on every thread on every message board? Come on, Get Big is massive, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It's it just goes to show how big of a heart Steve Bleckman has. It goes to show what a neurotic I am, because I like literally freaked out. It was like the same thing when I got the phone call. I guess I could say it, from Johnny, that Dallas had passed. It's the same way I felt when I got the phone calls that Rich had passed. I mean, I got real scared. Especially when you talk to a guy the night before for 2 hours on the phone and talk to him 2-3 times a week. And somebody like Steve Bleckman, again, because Steve Bleckman to me is like one of the really high up people in the sport. I mean, really high up in terms of the media. I mean, you look at muscular development, what competition do they have? I mean, Flex has merged with Muscle and Fitness. I mean, Muscular Development is the #1 bodybuilding website, magazine in the world. I mean, nothing touches, it's all happening at MD. So when the top guy at MD, the owner of MD, calls me asking me if Greg Valentino died, that's pretty serious. I mean, that's enough to, I mean, I was like literally having a panic attack. So, and I didn't hear back from Greg for at least an hour, I think it was, like an hour and a half. So, and I was like, it was bad. It was bad. But good news is Greg Valentino is not dead, 100% A-OK. Say it, don't spray it. Sorry about that. And Arnold's going to be okay. Arnold's doing great. Big congratulations to Jafar in New Zealand. Big congratulations to Steve Kuklo and to Charles the Tank Dixon in Indianapolis. And, I will be in Erie, Pennsylvania, April 14th for the NPC Great Lakes. I'll be covering that backstage. There's also going to be the Dave Chafee Arm Classic, which I will be at also. Big Frank Budaleski, IronMag Labs sponsored athlete. So if you're in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, come by, buy some tickets, come out to the shows, say hello to me, maybe get a photo together. I mean, if you want a high five or if you want a fist pound, just come by. I can hook you up. I don't charge. If you want to take a photo with me, I won't charge you. If you want an autograph, if it's reasonable, I mean, I'll autograph 1 or 2, maybe 3 items tops, guys. But if you're going to start bringing all of your Iron Duke memorabilia and I'm going to have to like spend, like 10-20 minutes autographing, then I mean, just be reasonable with me, because my time is limited.